Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to IKON Park. We're ready for a very intriguing round 5 clash in the Rebel VFL Women's reigning premiers. Port Melbourne, coming off their first loss of the season, come to IKON Park today looking to try and knock over a Carlton side that has started the season 1-3. A little bit disappointing away from home against Collingwood last week. The Blues go 1-4, and history will suggest that their season is done. We'll get to that in a moment. Brent Sternberg and Tyrone Winder here with you on afl.com.au and the AFL Live official app as well. Good afternoon, Tyrone.
Brent, thank you so much for having me. I was actually really excited today once I saw the headlines that Darcy Vesio is in for their VFL return. And only 4 goals off 100 VFLW goals, so could be exciting to watch that one today.
Yeah, a bunch of changes. We'll get to that as the first quarter unfolds. The Blues have made 7 of them from that team that went down to the Magpies last week, which you saw, Tyrone. I think they've named 10. Let me count them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 10 AFLW listed players. That would have to be the most that they have named in quite a while. The Blues on the Port Melbourne side have named 6 Richmond AFLW listed players. We're ready to go. Carlton have been out there for ages. Port Melbourne ran out about 90 seconds ago. Away we go from IKON Park. Here's Tyrone Winder.
Ball is up at IKON Park on a beautiful Saturday afternoon. Tap is here. Port Melbourne finally first get over the ball. Das, he reaches the contest on the far side wing, breaks the tackle. Can they get the handball off? Does do well now. Coming now through Lily Goss kicking forward. What can they make of their opportunity here is the Carlton side looking to rebound after a rough start to the season. Port Melbourne now applying the pressure. Carlton over the footy first. Kick is ricocheted. Coming out the back now, it looks like we're going to get a bit of a stoppage here on the side.
So centre wing broadcast position. It came out the way of Bowie, who just tumbles the kick down towards half forward. It was well marked right above the bootlaces by Beth Wilson. She could have sent Port Melbourne going forward. It was a terrible kick. I think it was looking for O'Keefe. Vesio read it well. Went out wide there to Mimi Hill, who spreads the kick further still to Mariana Anthony. And down towards half forward. Lovely kick. Lovely mark out in front of the eyeballs. Mia Austin, who turns onto the boot, drives it in towards the hot spot, into the arms of her teammate at full forward. Gave it off to Lily Goss, and Lily hit the post, I think, from point blank. Carlton get the first score of the afternoon, a minor one. So 7 changes. Out go Keely Skepper, Maddie Guerin, Taylor Ortlep, Ash Turner Funk, Mel Staunton, Gemma Stokes, and Isabella Parnell, and they have decided to give Vesio, Mimi Hill, Yasmin Dersma, Lily Goss and Mia Austin and Kelly Shearer a go, and Georgia Tate comes into the team as well for the Blues.
Port Melbourne now looking to rebound off through Jessie Williams, the Tasmanian native. Kick isn't good though. Carlton here to retrieve numbers. Kick is off through Steph Demio. She hits a target. It's going to come now through Sophie McCarthy. Finds a 45, doesn't quite like the kick, and that's going to be cut off by the Port Melbourne defence here. Just assessing their options. They have numbers out the back if they can go. Pushes off her mark, finds her target. Can she hit this one? The kick, the wave is coming. But Carlton able to get numbers around the contest. Forward ball though. And here they come in rebound.
Well done on the last line of defence there for the Blues, and coming out towards Shearer. Open game here in the early minutes. Comes unstuck for Carlton in the middle. Jessie Williams, who went to the coin toss at the start of today's proceedings, won it and elected to go to the left of your radio. I was about to say radio dial. This is not on radio. That's just force of habit. The left of your screen. Lygon Street into the ground. Jessie Williams in her 50th VFLW game today. Out the side, it came to Seaton. Handball to Ashley Cooper, who jags a little kick out towards the boundary. If it goes out, it'll be a Blues free kick. Hannah Bowie had to take possession and take it over and out between wing and half forward for the Borough, who have made 4 changes from the team that suffered that shock loss to Casey last week. Hartog, Patterson, Reid and Bacon are out. They've decided to give a run to Charlie Ryan, Laura McClelland and Maddie Shevlin of their listed players, and Kate Adams comes back in as well as Shera explodes out the front of the stoppage for the Blues. Drives the kick in towards the 50. It went over the head of Austin. Here's a chance on the half-back line for Bella Clark. Her kick stolen by Vesio, who sends Carlton deep. McCarthy in position 1A. It broke through her hands. Clark races back for the Port Melbourne side and knocks it through for a behind. Early on already, though, Tyrone, we can see both teams looking threatening when they get the ball out the back and goal side.
Darcy Vesio very lively here early for the Blues, but as you said, Port Melbourne's rebounding attack has been very good, keeping the ball forward by any means. What can they manufacture out of fullback here now? Kick is off. Strong contest there. Misfit under the ex-Hawk. Decides to let it go. What's the umpire going to call? He's called holding the man, and the free kick is going to go the way of Hannah Bowie. Just holding her man there with Geordie Misfit. 45 kick, trying to centre. Port Melbourne going to lock that one off in defence.
Yeah, disappointing kick from Hannah Bowie. She's better than that. Ashley Cooper fills the hole for Port Melbourne and comes out towards the broadcast side. Going back with real courage was Bowie. There's a Port Melbourne player that stayed down after that contest. Carlton worked the kick back towards the paint of 50. Keely Sherra's had a whale of a start to this game. Off to Mimi Hill, who goes right by Beth Wilson. Lines it up from 30 on the run, and her teammate dropped the mark on the goal line. It was certainly goalward bound. I think it's McCarthy, who maybe just should have tried to shepherd that one through. It's another behind for the Blues.
Just touch and base. I think that was Geordie Misfit under that contest there. Box Hill, best and fairest last season, having a debut year at Port Melbourne. And Hannah Bowie, it looks like they're going to cut this one off here. Back on her feet, though, is Geordie Misfit taking that one out.
Yeah,
club side.
A part of the three-way tie in the Lambert Pearce medal last year, was actually the best and fairest winner at Box Hill in both of her seasons there in 2022 and 2023. You talk about the rich getting richer. How about the reigning premiers, Port Melbourne, adding Jordan Mifsud to the team? She returned last week from the hand fracture. Carlton doing plenty of attacking here. It's whacked down by Hurley, but gathered by Mifsud. Her handball came unstuck. Hill tried to work it on to DeMeo, who fights for it underneath. Came out the way of Caitlin O'Keefe, who found her way into the clutches of Emily Hurley, who's going to have to go alone in the ruck for Carlton most of the day, you'd imagine, with Gemma Stokes out of the team. Shera threatens at the source. Here comes Ashley Cooper, shrugged, not one but two, goes in the direction of Bromwich. It comes to ground. Opportunity here for McClelland, who runs straight into the Carlton gang tackle. Umpire had a long look and then called for a ball up centre wing broadcast side. The umpires today, Caleb Munro, Jai Smith and Sophia Tozer.
Yeah, Laura McKellen making her first game return since 2021. Good to see her back out as Carlton now looking to continue their attack. There's Geordie Misfit deciding to try the fend off, finding space out towards Charlie Wicksteed, the Bunbury native, goes back to Misfit. Just over the footy now is the Port Melbourne attack. Can they manufacture something here on the near side wing? Kick, soccer, crafty work, doesn't quite work out. And the ball doesn't come too far on the broadcast side.
The Blues have had 28 disposals to 16, certainly getting their hands on the football. 5 inside 50s to 1 as well. Wilson goes an age in the ruck too early. Now it's Hurley who's caught, and Hurley is gone. And a free kick for holding the ball. An opportunity here for the Borough to go forward with a bit more purpose and a bit more reinforcements ahead of the football. It's with Charlie Wicksteed, the tackler, drives the kick in towards the 50. Lawson's haven't dropped the mark. She's got work to do at ground level. Handball sold her teammate up the river. Should have been holding the ball in the tackle of Bromwich. And then a high tackle was worn by Hannah Bowie. A little bit overzealous there, Maddie Shevlin. Bowie, who's had a bit of it as well, joining the Blues VFLW team after being delisted by North Melbourne after the most recent season. Kicks to the waiting pack on the wing, off the hands. And tackled in there was Woolcock. Adams' turn to apply the pressure. We'll get another stoppage on the broadcast wing.
Yeah, Hannah Bowie just up to leading the disposals for the day so far, so a great start for her as we have this ruck contest on the near side of wing. Hurley goes up, taps down. First Port Melbourne on the hands though. Bowie just going to wrap up the tackle. Not going anywhere. How does the umpire see it? Come back to him, he says. As the Rucks are going to meet again. Emily Hurley was a little bit rough to get up before, and now looking to continue their work. Tap straight down towards Bowie, met by Wigsteed. Right kick off, tries to go the banana. Met by the Carlton defence though. Port Melbourne looking for an opportunity. Can they manufacture something in that forward 50? And it's going to be held up again.
Pressure's been good in this first quarter for both teams through the first almost 8 minutes. Port Melbourne coming into this clash, the #1 tackling team through the first month of the season. Carlton second last. So they've got a lift around the coalface. Or Bromwich. Release it legally, said the umpire. Kick back into the coalface for the Borough. Came the way of McClellan, who lashed at it. Off the left foot it goes, bounces into the rather empty Legends grandstand. So that might be a bit of a wait to retrieve that, Sharon.
Oh, that guy wasn't too quick to get out of his seat, was he? He said, they can get it.
It'll be Yasmin Dersman to bring it back in. Her first game in the navy blue, traded from Port Adelaide in the off-season. Short to Hill. And now to Lila Keck, who turns and can see some open green pastures ahead. Kicks down towards Mia Austin. McKellar assumes front position, got the spoil away. Wood overran it for Carlton. Opportunity here for Mooney. Flicked the handball out. Inadvertently, the ball came back to her. It disappeared underneath, and the umpire had a long look. It threatened to come out. It did eventually. And another stoppage on the broadcast wing. Carlton with 3 behinds. Port Melbourne with no score to tell you about just yet. 9 minutes gone in the opening quarter.
Hurley down now on the near side. Here comes Dersmer again. Tapped onto the teammate. Port Melbourne have the numbers around the football. All great work retrieving this one out. Might have overused it though. Breaking the tackle there. Awesome play.
Super stuff.
Is Jessie Williams, the Tasmanian native, going forward, giving her teammates an opportunity. One-on-one contest at the front is Courtney Bromwich. Not quite able to manufacture there. Carlton defence stands strong, keeping the ball in play. Interesting decision. Mimi Hill now playing this one out. Making the most of the defence is Carlton.
They could do with a mark here and they get it. Shearer just had a little look behind her and knew she had some room to take the mark as Ashley Cooper was bearing down. And then her kick was a very interesting one, laced with danger. The mark was dropped in the middle by Jemima Woods of Port Melbourne. Austin's been promising in the early minutes to Anthony and then the Vesio into the 50. Look out. Mooney's goal side here for the Blues. Spent the football before she had it. Now she's caught in a scrimmage in the pocket and she's given away a free kick for too high in her overzealous attempts to try and resurrect that passage of play. Georgia Booth with the kick out of the defensive 50. Carlton player Anthony landed flat on her back. Caruso got it off the Woods, and here come Port Melbourne.
Port Melbourne now streaming, but Carlton have the numbers in defence. Great intercept attempt there from Jen Lawson-Tavern, the hyphen. Continuing her work, following up with the tackle, and that's going to be an awesome tackle on the far side there by Jen Lawson-Tavern. Darcy Vesio very early, showing a lot of class, kicking to advantage. Been very impressive. As the ball goes up, Hurley gets first hands. Met there by the Port Melbourne midfield, but there's no one at the back. And Yasmin Dersmer, first game in the Blues, just going to sit under that. Doesn't quite work out though. Port Melbourne can continue their attack here if they find something. Great pick up there by Laura McKellan. First game since 2021. They have a one-on-one here with Emily Harley. Darcy Vesio now back in defence, helping out the back line. Doesn't have a lot of time. Darcy again retreats. Left foot is off. And that's going to be intercepted there by Port Melbourne.
Once again, it's a brave mark. Going back with the flight, Belinda Woolcock, first season at Port Melbourne. Came over from the Casey Demons, a former tennis player before she started playing footy. Her kick going forward is a little loose, and here's another chance for Yasmin Dersman to try and set the Blues up from half back. It's a kick into the middle that was saved by the brilliant skills of Lila Keck. Off to Prince, whose kick is no good. It's cut off by O'Keefe. Turns and delivers down towards full forward. But Carlton has set up well. Here's a mark on the last line of defence. It's Vesio, who's here, there and everywhere at the moment. DiDonato clears the back line for the Blues, and it's with Hill. Hill's kick, well, she's normally a good user. That's not an example. Intercept mark taken by Najali Borg. Gee, both of these teams want the corridor. Not too many kicks going into the middle have come off through the opening 10 minutes or so here. Kick, got right underneath the kick. Borg will sit and wait. Really good effort there by Austin to come along and break it up. Gets the handball back from her teammate in Curry and then slipped the tackle. of McKellar, indulged in a bounce on the boundary line, drives it down towards right half forward. It's Mooney and it's Booth. It got stuck between the ankles of those two ladies. Ball vanishes underneath. Trying to get out of there with Mooney. Might have thrown it away. Hill knocked it on. McKellar will chase the football back into the pocket. Will do well to see it out, and she does. And a boundary throw in about 35 metres around at right half forward for the Blues, who still have 3 behinds, and Port Melbourne yet to score. We're approaching 13 minutes gone in the opening quarter. Round 5, Rebel VFL women's clash between Carlton and Port Melbourne at IKON Park. Brent Sternberg and Tyrone Winder.
Coming down now, Hurley, first tap out. Carlton able to meet. They centre this kick. Can Carlton make the most of their opportunity here? Here comes the pick up through Austin. Decides to swing, right foot kick. The forwards are scrambling underneath. Can they get a handball out here for an opportunity? Ball comes loose. Geordie Misfit getting a head over the football there. And the Port Melbourne defence are able to get their head over the football. Quick push. What's the umpire see? Doesn't see much.
She might be in trouble there, Caruso. Yeah, gone.
And the umpire has called holding the ball here. In the forward 50, just Caruso sitting on that one. Couldn't get away like the Draper from last night. And it's going to be Lily Goss.
I thought she was a bit unlucky there, Caruso. I mean, she's going after the football and she copped some contact.
Oh, yeah.
That forced her to fall over, and then she was immediately tackled.
I almost thought the umpire would have called the push, but here's Lily Goss strobing in now. The Q Rover from about 10 metres out in front, and she has kicked the first of the day for Carlton. Getting on the board for their first goal of the day.
Well, Lily wasn't going to miss that one. That's her 4th goal at this level. Into the side today for her 2nd VFLW match of the season. And that's probably just reward for all of their good work up the ground, Carlton. They've certainly looked the more dangerous team when going forward. Lily Goss kicks the first goal of the afternoon.
Oh, just their play to keep the ball going forward. If you go forward enough, the footy gods will reward you eventually.
Well, they have struggled with their efficiency inside 50 this season, the Blues. All told, they've kicked 16 goals from 119 entries this season. One of the lowest in terms of efficiency, their lowest number in the league, just about. Second last to Darebin. From the restart in the middle, they've fumbled it all the way up to half forward. Now it's with Mifsud in the middle of 4 Carlton players. Lily Goss has one of my favourite statistics relating to women's football. Are you ready for it, Tyrone?
I am actually really intrigued now. What is it?
Her first 2 AFLW matches that she played were draws.
Oh.
Carlton in season 7 played in back-to-back draws. They were her first 2 AFLW matches.
Oh my
I can't imagine there'd be too many men's players. I know we've played
would
footy at that level
draws,
for years, yeah. In games 1 and 2, we're camped at half forward here for the Blues. Not for long as Wicksteed goes bang and right up the middle of IKON Park. Good defensive work there by DeMayo to bring it to ground. They fight for it at ground level. Di Donato in on the tackle of McClellan, who did so well to get the kick out in front of Eastman. To Wicksteed, who's trying to get away from Keck. Slung as she got the kick that bounced into the 50. Carlton set up okay back here. Prince with some work to do though. Gets some support from Lawson Tavern, who kicks towards the outer side. Port Melbourne with the outnumber. Jessie Williams in game 50. Handball didn't quite find Bromwich. Doing her darndest to pick it up off her bootlaces. Now she's got Bowie for company. Still Lawson Tavern fights the fight for Carlton. Her handball a little hot. Ashley Cooper might have been taken high. And it's the non-officiating umpire that has seen that free kick. Eloise Ashley Cooper steps up to take it at right half forward for Port Melbourne.
Eloise now just assessing her options. Decides to go deep. Sees the forwards out in front. Can Port Melbourne manufacture? McKellen's
oh, what a mark.
Laura McKellen coming out of the goal scare for the absolute flyer. Eloise seeing the space. And Laura McKellen makes the most of their opportunity here.
She's become known as a defender at AFLW level, but due to their injuries that they had last year, they did throw her forward and she showed promising signs up there.
McKellen now going to stroll in from 10 metres out. Left foot kick is off, but the goal umpire has to work. That one's going to go through for a behind. Unfortunate there after such a flyer.
Yeah, deserved a goal, the mark, didn't it? And Laura will be disappointed with that. Really got to make the most of your opportunities. Harley broke up that mark. The umpire was a little charitable. Lawson Tavern was paid it. Umpire now wants the former Darebin Falcon and Sydney AFLW listed defender to come back around on her mark, which she didn't really do.
No, Emily Harley was pleading, saying, get back here.
Wide to DeMeo. Turned it over on the way out. McClellan sends it back in nice and quickly. Harley flashing across in front of her eyeballs was Lawson Tavern. Harley had another go. Prince left it behind. Mimi Hill races back in the defence to lend a hand for the Blues. On the outside, the kick comes. We're looking for Tate, who was wrestling with Caruso. Clark of Port Melbourne picked it up and kicked it into the 50. And how well did Emily Harley read the ball drop there? Slides in on her knees to take the chest mark. She's pointing to the sticks at the Lygon Street end of the ground. Harley is a big kick. I'm not entirely convinced she'll have the trip here, but there's no breeze to tell you about. It's a pretty still day here in Melbourne today. Maybe one of the last we'll get with winter rapidly approaching. Emily Harley has kicked 6 goals, 1 on the season to date. Jumps into the kick. It'll go all the way to the goal square. McClelland again had a big run at it. Off hands, Prince to Bowie. Carlton will try and escape.
Port Melbourne now assessing, coming over the football. On the far side, 50. That looks like Wicksteed trying to get through. Carlton defence hold up though. Great pick up here from the Port Melbourne forwards. Soccer out. Umpire's called holding the ball, and it's going to go the way of Carlton here. That's going to be Bowie. Trying to find the short option on the 45. Kick over the top, but it's met through the Port Melbourne defence. So it's been an interesting game so far. We've started to see teams play the wings a little bit more as opposed to going the middle.
Yeah. Di Donato, the leading disposal getter on the ground, up to 8. Vissio with 7, as is Lawson Tavern. Wicksteed and Clark lead all comers in the red and blue of Port Melbourne with 6 apiece.
Back now through Hurley, gets the first hand, dominating the ruck today. Port Melbourne now streaming forward. Can they find an option? That's going to be Bromwich with the short kick towards Harley. Tried to read the footy.
Oh, well done.
But that's going to be a great grab there through Jen Lawson Tavern, the hyphen, standing tall in defence.
To the final seconds of the opening quarter. Lawson Tavern's kick out of the 50. Asked a lot of Tate. Caruso's handball was a bit of a shocker. Trying to make it look a bit better than it was Shevlin. Her handball was just as bad. Wood, oh dear, not a good kick from Baldwin. Mifsud trying to pick it up. She's got Caruso for support. We've got a whistle off play. And they're going to be bailed out here by a holding on free kick, the Blues. Goss, the only goal kicker in this first quarter, inboard to Keck. And the Blues should be able to shut down the final seconds here. Although Keck's kick's gone over the head of Robertson. Had to stop it from going out of play. To Prince. Oh, Prince has turned it over. Carlton did all they could to try and give Port Melbourne one more opportunity, but they were saved by Carlton. And it gives the Blues an 8-point lead at the first change. What did you make of it, Tyrone? Pretty open game of footy, I thought.
It's a very open game of footy, and we've seen a lot of dare from teams as well. Trying to play the middle of the ground, and it's been an interesting one for sure. But off we go for the second quarter. Hurley getting the first tap down to the Carlton. Can Carlton continue their great work in the first quarter? Hurley pick up here, but it's going to be wrapped up by Wilson. The Whitehorse native. Kick out now. We got Bowie on the chase, but it's going to be met through Wicksteed. Head over the footy. Big bump there for Lauren Caruso. The keeler go out to Wicksteed. Wicksteed's looked really flashy today. Back through Caruso inside. And she's going to continue her work. Handball chain, but not quite within the bounce. The bounce not quite going her way. Very unlucky there. And that's going to be wrapped up through Simone Mooney.
Caruso with just 3 disposals in the opening quarter. Busy in the early minute of the second here. So this is at the end to which Carlton are attacking in the second quarter. Here is the goal kicker Goss, who jags it on the boot. It sprays out into the pocket, and it will run away from Bella Clark, who just for a moment thought it might have been last disposal out of bounds in the end, everywhere on the ground, but Bella, it's not. It's just between the 50s. And so she runs back to her full-back position, and the umpire will toss it in. Of course, in the VFLW, inside the 50s, when they do throw it in, they move 10 metres into the field of play. We didn't have that in the AFLW last season. They got rid of it. Keck burst onto the football. Nutmeg Shearer with the hand pass. Woolcock used the body well, but her handball missed Seaton, who ended up flat on her back. Socket up the ground there from Borg, got it out of the 50. Here's Di Donato for disposal number 9. It was a nice handball to DeMeo. Kicks up towards the paint of 50 where the mark was dropped by Tate. Had a second go at the ground ball. Find out the handball to Mooney, who was in the grasp of the Port Melbourne tackler immediately. Umpire watching on from row B. And calls for a stoppage just inside 50 for the Blues. So Port Melbourne did have more inside 50s in that first quarter in the end, 11-7. We You remember that one really bad miss from Laura McClelland from point blank. Otherwise, it would have been 1 goal apiece. Seaton's in the tackle of Vesio. The ball jars free, and we'll have another stoppage right where the 50 and the boundary meets at right half forward for the Blues.
Octavia Di Donato, you mentioned her earlier, being very busy here at the start of this second quarter. Great disposal efficiency as well. Had a good use of the football. As Hurley and Wilson are going to meet again in the rucks, they continue to face off. Bromwich first underneath, but doesn't quite get to it. Carlton are going to come out now through Mimi Hill. Dast putting the spin move on, put him in the spin cycle. Left foot kick is off. Great find there.
How did Lily get free?
Going to be taken by Lily Goss. No one on the mark. They're going to play on. Kick right foot forth. And it's going to go through Lily Goss for her second goal of the day. No one standing the mark, just able to stream straight into goals and kick one of the easiest goals of her career.
Well, she kicked 3 in 13 VFLW games. She's got 2 today. Sean Bunkle, man, he must be going irate in the coach's box. They're just the sort of mistakes that this well-drilled, well-oiled Port Melbourne team don't often make. I mean, Goss gambled from that last stoppage, didn't she? She knew that her players at half forward would win it back. And a wonderful kick. Was it Keck, I think, who kicked it back into the attacking zone, and Lily was all there on her own. And then to not stand the mark, I mean, there's a few cardinal sins in footy, and that's one of them. And well done, Lily Goss. Realised that she could just run right in and kick the goal. So she's kicked the only 2 of the match so far. Carlton are going to come with a clean break out of the middle again. Robertson kicks towards Tate. Borg flies in and knocked it away. Tate gets back after the loose football. She was met in the tackle of Jemima Woods, and the umpire's seen enough to call for a stoppage on the outer wing. Blues with a 14-point lead. And it's outside of Di Donato. It's all of their AFLW listed players who are coming to the fore. Some of the Borough midfielders have got a lift here. Seaton bumped off it far too easily by Vesio, who ran out of one tackle and into the second. Released it legally. That was cleverly played there by Seaton not to touch it, knowing that it was called a handball and therefore last disposal out of bounds. So Ava Seaton, defensive side of the wing on the city side of the ground for Port Melbourne. Happy just to kick this one down the line. Standing her ground but dropping the mark was Dersma. What a handball from Vesio. It found the running DeMayo, who drove the kick in towards half forward. It's intercepted by Nigeli Borg of Port Melbourne.
Yeah, the quality of football that Darcy Vesio is playing today is up there. There comes Goss with the right foot off, going to a 2-on-1. Mia Austin, can she manufacture something? Front and centre are the Carlton forwards. Great pick up there through the Carlton forwards. They're going to fire one out the back. Play on. Great kick there. Simone Mooney. Right spot, right time. And Carlton pick up another goal.
Simone Mooney with her first in the VFLW, was on the debut last week against the Pies. You saw her there, Tyrone, out at Victoria Park. 9 disposals and 3 marks. First season at the Blues, drafted, or recruited I should say, from Fitzroy Footy Club in the VAFA. But once again, just far too easy. Carlton using the football. Sorry, Tyrone.
No, you're right. Port Melbourne reigning premiers, but the way that Carlton have gone forward with the footy today, their structure around the football, just little stuff, having your forwards front and centre, gave them that opportunity to keep the ball going forward. And great read there.
That's what happens when you win the football and you use it well. Players get out into those pockets of space, and Port Melbourne are in a real hole now. Woods works her kick out towards the one-on-one contest on the wing. Both players had to double back. Eastman wins the race. Her handball inboard. Seaton shrugged a tackle, and then coming from the blind side was Gossett. Should have been holding the ball. It's play on. Keck in trouble in the congestion. Shearer trying to break it open for the Blues. Her handball was a difficult one at the bootlaces of the ruck in Hurley. Woods fires out the handball to Seaton, who had her kick smothered. Wilson could get a handle on it. Shearer, Hurley, bouncing ball up the broadcast wing. Blues took it and then was taken in the tackle. Did well to keep her arms free and fling the handball out to Woods, who tumbles the kick back down the line. In from the side went Wilson of Port Melbourne. The direct handball came from the Carlton player. It was DeMayo, and then Eastman just panicked, kicked it forward, lost her bearings a little bit. It's out of bounds on the full. So the Blues are 3-3-21. Port Melbourne just the one behind in a 20-point hole at the 6.5-minute mark of the second quarter.
Dersma, 45 there, into Hill. Hill hitting another 45 there. Keely Shearer. They're going to play the switch here, Carlton. They have Vesio out. If they can wheel around fast enough. Now decides to go left foot kick. Great kick. Vesio here now has the options. Coming through is Carlton on the far side wing. Great pace here. Do they have the numbers forward though? Great present there. Carlton slowly mounting another attack. Decides to play it deep to the deepest forward. Port Melbourne have the numbers. Decide to keep their feet. Front and centre come the Carlton forwards. Doesn't quite get anything out of those. That soccer might have been in danger. And the umpires decide to call it there.
Yeah, it's actually gone the other way for a trip, I think the umpire said. So Adams on the last line. Where to with the next kick? Goes out to the boundary. Woods did not get a kind bounce at all. Woods left it behind, but Wood picked it up. Kicked it towards the goal square. Clean bowled a couple and tracks out towards the paint of the boundary. Booth gets out there for Port Melbourne. It did come off the boot there of Vesio, but trickled out of play. But how dangerous are they looking going forward? Carlton, just sublime skill. Those navy blue jumpers just rolling forward. They're all feeling really good at the moment, knowing that if we keep up our work rate, there's going to be a goal on the end of it. It's just a matter of who kicks it. In the ruck, it was Clark. And it was McCarthy. Ashley Cooper with the kick that goes out of the defensive 50. Doubling back here for Carlton was DeMayo. Wrapped up by a couple in red and blue. Courtney Bromwich was in there. Under glorious sunshine now at IKON Park here today. Another stoppage on the outer wing.
Hurley continuing the solo ruck work and continuing to dominate in that facet. Kick off now through Bowie. Under the ball there was Austin. Nothing comes of it though. Gray to pick up. Right foot kick is off. We have a one-on-one at the back. Bounce over the top.
Ooh.
Oh, and the kick just off there. Had the amazing bounce with a great opportunity to the Carlton forwards. But couldn't quite make the most of it there. It was Sophie McCarthy.
We've had 32 more disposals than Port Melbourne. Carlton. Caruso's kick coming out of the back 50 will be coming back. Or Prince, I should say, wasn't paid the mark. Scrambles to the defensive side of the contest where Hill was charged down by Molly Eastman. We'll get a stoppage there. Inside 50s, 11 apiece. Port Melbourne haven't had one in this quarter. Vesio had to be quick with the kick. Here comes Maddie Shevlin. Right on the paint of the boundary. That's a beautiful kick. That's the kick of the day right there. 25 metres like a bullet onto the chest of Eastman. I think Port Melbourne have just got to slow down a little bit here and try and think their way
Well, I was going to
forward.
ask you that. I was saying, what do Port Melbourne need to do?
They're in a 21-point hole. They've just been a bit gun-ho trying to get it into their attacking zone. Bromwich couldn't quite rove it off the fringes of the pack. Will fight for it underneath. She becomes the tackler. Carlton again, though, work it out through Di Donato and then to Hill. Dangerous kick towards Austin, but she comes out and takes the mark, and will turn and have a look at the ground bathed in sunshine, and it's relatively open upstream as well. The kick is a short one in the first instance. It's marked by the VFLW captain of Carlton this year, Eliza Wood. Her kick's going to drag Simone Moody very wide, and the good tackle there from Booth. Oh, Mooney dropped the football. The umpire waved play on. Here's a chance there for Baldwin. Her kick smothered by Adams. Kate Adams is happy to just see it trickle over the boundary line, and we'll get it tossed in on the outer side as Darcy Vesio comes for a well-earned spell.
Yeah, just with some of the AFLW talent out at the moment, is this the opportunity for Port Melbourne?
12 disposals for Darcy and 3 marks, 1 clearance.
Making a day of it already. Tap here is the Port Melbourne mids, trying to go forward, but there's no one to go to, chasing up their own work. Here we go. Is this the opportunity that Port Melbourne have? Decide to go inside, but the kick is not good, and it looks like Bowie's going to run onto this one. If they can get the good bounce, they can make the most of their opportunities. It's going to be intercepted here through Lauren Caruso, but doesn't hold the mark. And she's going to be held up in a defensive 50.
And once again, that kick into the middle of the ground. That they don't hit Port Melbourne, and then Carlton just whiz it forward. Good work by Caruso. He might have taken the mark, but was good enough to lock it up. Calls a stoppage. Clark knocked it down. Wicksteed knocked it straight to Shearer. Shearer gave it back. Shevlin kicks it right up the middle of IKON Park. McClellan couldn't gather. DeMayo might have been taken high there by the flailing Bromwich. We fight for it right in the middle of the stadium. And there's a free kick for holding. It's another mistake in midfield there by O'Keefe, who's yet to come into the game. Di Donato for disposal number 11. Now it went to Hill. Hill long down towards Austin. Punched away by McKellar. It comes out the back. Adams is there for Port Melbourne. Got to hold on here. Did better than that. Got the handball out to McKellar, who kicks to the open spaces of the outer flank. Bouncing ball was a tricky one for Charlie Ryan. Carlton closing quickly. It feels like they've got 7 or 8 more players out there at the moment. The Blues, that's how well they're travelling.
Oh, they call it running in waves. The tsunami wave of Blues coming through, that's for sure. As they're going to ruck this one up on the far side. First tap down through Port Melbourne. Great use there from Belinda Woodcock, where the kick kind of goes up and down like a chimney, as the great Joe would say. Sort of a scramble over the football now. Is much going to come of it? Cool is out. Kick is off. Austin takes the grab inside 50 there. Mia Austin just read the footy best. No wind out there, but it kind of floated that way for her. Able to use her reflexes, and now has an opportunity to put Carlton's 4th goal of the day on the board. Probably about 15, 20 metres out.
Such a promising player developing here at IKON Park in the forward line for the Blues.
Almost caught me off guard the way she got to that one. I was like, oh. Now Austin going to stream in forward, take her routine. Kick is off a bit low. Umpire doesn't really move because it's going on the full. So Carlton don't get a score there. It's 3-4. 22 Carlton, 0-1-1 Port Melbourne.
Celebrate her 20th birthday on Monday. Mia Austin.
Happy birthday.
Missed season 7 with a syndesmosis, but played some good footy for the Blues in season 8. Off hands there, O'Keefe and DiDonato were in that little scrimmage, and it's out of bounds. I was just having a look at the stats here, Tyrone. Carlton have the top 7 ball-getters on the ground.
I see that now. Charlie Wicksteed leading Port Melbourne with 8, but above that, it's all Blue, isn't it?
Yeah, they've got 6 players in double digits already in terms of disposals, the Blues. Tossed in at left half forward. Trying to crash her way through there was Woods. Ball finds itself underneath the pack. Parnell knocked it out. Socket forward for the Borough. Oh, it landed on the chest of DiDonato. I reckon that went 8 metres. DiDonato turns onto the boot. Gives her forwards a chance with the kick. This one went over the head of Austin. Handball came the way of Goss, who had a kick charge down by McKellar, who was already falling over.
Just while we have a ball up, I do want to talk about those numbers. Darcy Vesio at 12, Octavia DiDonato 11, Lila Keck 10, and Mimi Hill 10. Lily Goss now up to 10 as well, so all Blue at the moment.
The Blues still in attack here. Curry trying to break free, the fend off, and then gets around the corner with the kick, and Caruso takes a nice defensive mark on the last line for Port Melbourne. Their back line working overtime.
Caruso now going to stream out. No one's really going to pick her up. Decides to go the chip. Kick finds the option. Kick is good there through Jesse Williams. The crowd on this side loves it. Williams now 45. Great kick. McKellen off now through Seaton. Seaton kicking forward 2-on-1. What can Port Melbourne do here? Here's the build-up that they need. Swing inside. Find an option. Finally going to take a grab inside 50 there. Is the Port Melbourne forward in Caitlin O'Keefe. She's going to go back. Assess her options. Try find the deepest forward. Gets really close to the player on the mark. Carlton have the numbers back. That's going to be a call here. Let's the umpire see it. Holding the man. Port Melbourne going to get their opportunity now.
Yeah, Hannah Bowie it was who had a big piece of the Laura McClellan jumper. As surely, Tyrone, she's not going to miss this one.
Laura setting up. Trying to get some redemption for that earlier behind. Now streaming in towards the goal scare, taking her routine. Very set, left foot kick is off. Goal umpire didn't move, but Laura McKellen kicks Port Melbourne's first goal of the game as they look to build their way back through this deficit.
Well, their first goal, 16 and a bit minutes into the second quarter. But quite frankly, Tyrone, Port Melbourne a little bit lucky there. I mean, it was a clear free kick, but they haven't looked like kicking a goal in this quarter.
The build-up was really good from back through the midfield and then the swing, but it was just the forward structure that let them down. Just maybe a bit of a disconnect between their midfield and their forwards at the moment.
Well, that is how they play Port Melbourne, but it's just been those kicks into the middle portion of the field so far in this first half that just haven't been working.
It's a hard one, though, because you don't want them to go away from it, because if those kicks come off, all of a sudden you're golden. So it's a hard one to talk about as a coach.
No doubt that's what Sean Bunkle, I'm sure, would be saying. Look, it hasn't really come off, but we know we can play that way and we can score quickly. So just keep going back to the well on that as Seaton brings Port Melbourne out of the middle to half forward where it's gathered by McClellan. Port Melbourne lifting here. Shevlin goes in the direction of Emily Harley. It was knocked away by Lawson Tavern. O'Keefe, the first one to get there to the crumbs, but was bumped off it. Here's Bowie, who had her arm held before the ball arrived. Molly Eastman, in fact, no, it's going to the contest before that. A free kick for Lawson Tavern in the shadows of the Carlton Training Centre. Tavern's kick went a bit more direct than I think she had designed it. Goss had it knocked away by her. Wilson goes in to apply the pressure for Port Melbourne. Goss tumbles in over the top. Mifsud's in there as well. Keck trying to wrench it clear for the Blues. Mifsud has her wrapped up. That's surely not coming out. Let's blow the whistle, umpire. Thank you. Ball up at half forward.
Oh, they love to let it go, don't they? As we're coming up now, big tap there through Beth Wilson. Can the Port Melbourne mids manufacture something here? Great pick up through Carlton. Coming out now. Handball over the top. That's a great handball, but couldn't gather. Was Belinda Woolcock. And the ball's going to continue to scramble on this near side wing. Just on the 50. It's a bit of a mess there at the moment. Port Melbourne trying to clean up. At the back now is the Carlton defence. Left foot kick off. Near side wing, and it's just going to bounce out on the broadcast side.
We'll be coming back through Nigeli Borg into the final 90 seconds of the second quarter we go. And wouldn't Port Melbourne like to get a second in a row here and close the gap to half time? They're not going to do it with kicks like that. Absolute sack off the boot of Nigeli Borg, and Vestio at half back will retreat into the defensive 50 here. Di Donato, who's been one of the best on ground in the first half. Her kick went to Lawson Tavern, who dropped the mark but had the skills to evade Emily Harley. Her kick out of the defensive 50 is a ripper. It's marked by DeMeo, who has the overlap run here in Dersma, who had a long hard look before going on the left boot down towards half forward. Whoop, underneath it goes McKellar. And she's got reinforcements here. Mifsud bumped off the kick, gathered by Austin. Didn't give it off to her teammates by hand, instead went down towards Tate at full forward. What a take from Georgia Booth. With the one hand reeled it in, and the kick was just as good. And Shevlin will bring Port Melbourne forward for one last time.
Port Melbourne now, awesome work from Booth. Intercepted here by the Carlton defence though. Decides to keep the ball in. His Port Melbourne Eastman. Now coming through Maddie Shelvin. Bowie intercepts. Smothered though on the far side. And we have a Carlton player down here. Layla Prince is still down on the ground after that hell of a contest. It was a wild one. She's just a little bit slow to get up here. But she's gone back.
Yeah, she's okay to keep her place on the field. The frustrating thing for Port Melbourne in that regard is that's actually going to waste a few seconds. We only have time off in a matter of serious injury or the blood rule in the VFLW. Keck gets another kick forward for the Blues, bounces off the shins of McKellar, and that'll just about do us for the first half, which has been dominated by the home side. Carlton kicked the first 3 goals before a late free kick on the goal line against Hannah Bowie afforded Laura McClelland another opportunity to kick her first goal after she missed one from
in the middle. At the back there, Wicksteed gets the clearance, gets it off towards Bromwich, might fly over the head though. Out to clean up is Octavia Di Donato. Great game today. Handball off now. Carlton defence very set there, and we're going to come out the back 50 through Mimi Hill, short to Vesio. Mimi Hill, Darcy Vesio been very impressive here in the first half as Hill decides to keep continuing her work and play on towards the forward 50. Front and centre, how does the umpire see it? Plays the free kick here to Carlton.
Against Georgia Booth for holding on. The Blues whisk it away off the boot of Mimi Hill. They go into attack. Oh, Caruso let it go through her hands. McKellar had a quiet first half. Handball missed Caruso. Went in and applied the tackle, did Lauren. The ball jarred out momentarily. Mifsud in on the tackle. So Vesio led all comers in that first half with 13 disposals. They are up to 14 now. One of 10 AFLW players in the side for the Blues today. One of them here is Sherar, who's put the clamps on Beth Wilson, who didn't try and get rid of the football in the eyes of the umpire. And Killy Sherar is going to have the first look at goal of the second half. 35 metres out, as good as directly in front.
Disappointing start from Port Melbourne there. They had the start they wanted, they had the run, and then they've slowly given it up on the rebound.
Made great strides in her third AFLW season in season 8. Just chips the kick up towards the goal square. It's gone through a couple of sets of hands. And the Blues will settle for a stoppage at the top of the goal square. 2 goals, 1 they kicked in that second quarter. Port Melbourne just 1 straight. Spills out the side the way of Ashley Cooper, who kicks towards the city wing. DiDonato threw the fist at it. Came back to Mifsud, who's again charged down from behind. DiDonato's handball. Missed Lily Goss. Shearer has another go. It's a left foot kick down towards the hot spot. Shevlin filled the hole and filled it bravely. It's a terrific defensive mark.
Port Melbourne now early third quarter. What can they get going for them? Sees Misford lead. Doesn't choose to use it. Has Bromwich at the back. Goes over her head again. Carlton's defence deciding to hold this one in. Kick 45 inside the corridor. That is an awesome kick to Layla Prince, who now is going to look for an option. Maybe not the best option. Intercepted here with the looks of McKellen. Straight off here through the Port Melbourne midfielders. Handball was off by Jesse Williams. Kick going forward. Bromwich can't hold it, but follows up her work. Gets her head low. How does the umpire see it? Going to call the high for Courtney Bromwich, a.k.a. Bromo, with the helmet. Going to take her time here and try to find a deep forward.
Being pushed forward with all the midfield acquisitions has Bromwich. Kicks into the 50. Roving it was McClellan. She was bumped just as she was in her kicking action. And bringing it out of the back 50 is Prince. Lucks a fortune a little bit. Third in line, the mark is taken by Mia Austin, who had a really promising first half without hitting the scoreboard. She spreads the kick out towards the broadcast wing. It's with Mooney, who kicked one of the Carlton side's 3 goals in that first half. Hill uses it by hand to Hurley. That's a dart of a kick in towards centre half forward. Shearer takes the mark, and again Carlton have just sliced them open. And running into the pocket of space is Hannah Bowie, who wants to move things on up towards half forward. Might have been within range, tried to do the team thing. No mark taken by the Blues. Tate ran onto it, handball to Bowie. Her kick smothered. Once again, the Port Melbourne defence working overtime as Bowie's ridden into the ground by Caruso. A Carlton player slow to pick herself up just off the footy here.
How impressive was Carlton play there, just slicing through the defence of Port Melbourne.
Georgia Tate is the player slow to pick herself up as Wilson takes it out of the ruck. Works the kick on the outside of the boot. If that gets out of play, it'll be a Carlton free kick. And that's really good work there by Jessie Williams in game number 50. She had to run about 40 metres there, sprint 40 metres to stop it from going out of play and being an easy turnover. We'll have it tossed in.
Umpire now coming in from the boundary line, about 20 metres, going to set this one up for Hurley.
Got the sense, Tyrone. Port Melbourne need to kick the next goal in this game.
They definitely need to kick the next goal, get that momentum flowing. But the Carlton offense keys coming. Mimi Hill been very active here early in the third quarter. Over the top of it is Port Melbourne. Beth Wilson, Whitehorse native, going up against Emily Hurley here. Their contest has been really good all day. The umpire's called holding out. It's going to be a free kick the way of Beth Wilson. Can Port Melbourne finally get that momentum that we've been talking about here on the near side wing?
Wilson comes out to Maddie Shevlin. She goes long with the kick. Oh, Eastman with the high spoil. It didn't stop Prince from taking a terrific mark.
Great grab.
Around the back goes DeMayo. Oh, set it on the head of Shearer. Shevlin closes and brings it to ground. Her kick spoiled, or smothered, I should say. Ashley Cooper back to Shevlin. Shevlin down the line. Once again, Prince keeps it away from Eastman. DeMayo fights for it at ground level. Shevlin came up with it. Pickpocketed by Prince. Shevlin had to turn tackler. You can just tell there's a sense of urgency in the Port Melbourne team. They're trying to up the ante around the coalface. Carlton are matching them stride for stride at the moment. Wilson with the big leap in the ruck. Hooks it on down. The bounce eluded Ashley Cooper. Hemmed in on the boundary was Wood. Hurley fights off a couple. Handball too hot for Keck. Over it goes Seaton. Might have been tackled without the football. Kelly Shearer ended up tied up underneath that as well. And a ball up right underneath our commentary position. Still it's Carlton 3-4-22 and Port Melbourne 1-1-7.
Strong sense of urgency from Port Melbourne here, but that's not going to stop Carlton from coming out the front of the contest. Kick is not great. Run was good from Keely Shearer, just not the kick. If you're Port Melbourne, you've had a bit of offense. You can't let them come out the front of the contest that easily. As Maggie McKellar is going to take the free kick. South Croydon girl, short off to Charlie Wicksteed. Handball back, didn't go 15. Kick off again, going to be intercepted here by Carlton. Sophie McCarthy, handball off, gives it back off to Hill. Can she find an option? 2-on-1 in the forward contest. At the back is the Carlton forward. Not going to quite get there as Port Melbourne have the numbers. But it's going to be a tight contest here in the forward 50.
McKellar's charged down by Mooney. They had an awful moment there, McKellar. She had 2 kicks and neither of them were any good. One didn't go 15, the other one was intercepted. Now Port Melbourne have the football with a stoppage on the last line of defence. Curry can't escape. Wrapped up by Beth Wilson. It had been a good third quarter team this season, the Borough. They've won 3 of 4. Carlton have won just 1 of their 4 third quarters, so maybe some inroads to be made potentially in this term as Borg clatters in over the top of the Carlton player. And it's a free kick right on the boundary line for Izzy Curry, who is going to spot up a short option here. Well, Hill couldn't take the mark, but she picked it up at ground level. Didn't need to take the mark. That is a magnificent goal from Mimi Hill. From the shadows on the right forward pocket, and Carlton stretched that lead a little further, Tyrone.
Mimi Hill, awesome work there. As you said, didn't quite hold the mark, but had the goal sense to get it straight on the right foot, send that one through. You've seen the class of some of the AFLW talents today. Like Mimi Hill has had an awesome third quarter and just seems almost a cut above the rest, I'd say.
It was almost like she was so annoyed that she dropped that mark that she just picked it up and snapped the goal out of nothing more than frustration.
Exactly right. She said, well, I'm going to put this one through after dropping that. And it's going to be, how can Port Melbourne respond now?
32 games in her 4 seasons at the Blues for Mimi Hill, of course, the best and fairest winner there. Tore her ACL in her first season in 2021. Upon return, has played every game for the Blues. It's her first VFLW game of the season today.
Once again, Hurley and Wilson meeting in the middle. They've had a long contest today, those two. Port Melbourne now at the back, trying to break through the Carlton tackles, but the Blues numbers keep caving. Hill with the wicked chase down there on the far side. Down on the ground, though, slow to get up. And the tackles keep rolling on the far side.
Killy Shearer in amongst it again. Mentioned how terrific she was for the Blues in AFLW season 8. More time in the midfield. Moved from sort of the wing to the on-ball brigade. Woolcock's earned the Borough about 50 metres here, and she hasn't even had a possession. And eventually she might lose out. Goss with the footy. Woolcock turned tackler. Everything for Port Melbourne in this game has just been really difficult, and now it's a free kick that the umpire, he's signalling for a blood rule. It looks like it's Keely Shearer who's coming from the ground with a bit of claret flowing. So this was a good example. This is the only time in which we have the double whistle, which I'm sure you heard in our effects mic, and time off.
Some blood over the left knee of Keely Shearer.
She's replaced by Lily Goss. Because it's a blood rule, Lily is allowed to come on the ground immediately. Doesn't have to wait for Keely to get to the boundary line. We're back underway. Wilson with a hurried kick out into the right forward pocket for Port Melbourne. And it goes over the pack and just trundles end on end out of play. 35 around will throw it in. Midway stages of this third quarter. Carlton 4-4-28. Port Melbourne 1-1-7. They're just playing in bursts, the Borough. They've had their run and dare game up and going here and there, but just haven't been able to put, patches of 10 or 15 minutes together.
Tackle there by Bromwich. Ball continues to bounce around a bit like a pinball. Well, I think the question is, Brent, you've watched a lot of VFLW. Is it possible that Port could wear the Carlton side down, or are they going to continue that flow through the fourth quarter?
I think they've got to, we mentioned it a couple of times, they've got to continue to back themselves. The issue is their skills today have just let them down. Carlton have used the ball brilliantly, including this particular moment here where the mark's taken by Baldwin. Just doing a lot of the simple things and doing them right, like playing in front, getting numbers to the contests. Port Melbourne win it back here. See, again, sloppy handball from Adams. Woods back to Booth. Carlton closing in. Caruso couldn't quite escape. Got underneath the kick that went to the wing position. That was clearly touched by Overseaton, but the mark is paid to Eliza Wood. Off to Di Donato, who's tracking for 3 votes best on ground, I reckon, although a kick this time going forward. He's intercepted by Maggie McKellar.
McKellar now going to look to switch, decides to play it back. Drops the mark at full back is the Port Melbourne defence now through Kate Adams. Can they find a grab? That's going to steady the ship a lot. is Maddie Shelvin. Nervous moments there for the Port Melbourne defence. Decides to go the 45. Great kick. That's a dart. Through Molly Eastman, ex-North Melbourne player and captain for the Borough. Deciding to play off to the far side wing. Port Melbourne just deciding to slow the game down a little bit here, trying to take the wind out of Carlton's sails. Play on here now. Kick inside. Is it going to pay off? This could be the opportunity we've been talking about, Brent. The 45 inside paying off. Bromwich with the handball. Can they keep the flow? Puts her teammate under some pressure here, but Port have the numbers around the contest if they decide to use it. Kick 45 off. Jemima Woods first over the football, but Mimi Hill using her pace and strength to get her first head over the football, and Carlton can now rebound.
Yeah, Lila Keck goes hunting the loose football, worried out of it by Ashley Cooper. Hurried kick forward will land in the lap of Eastman. Right at half forward for the Borough, who's had a big say in this particular passage of play. Heads out into the pocket. She's got a 2-on-1 here. Brilliant mark, doubling back, taken by McClelland, who will peel herself up off the grass and will go back and look for her second. And you don't need me to tell you that Port Melbourne really need this one.
Laura McKellen been a bright spot for this Port side today.
Yeah, she had that horrible miss in the first quarter up this end. She's kicked 1 goal, 1 on the day. Her only goal that she has kicked came from the goal line. Laura McClelland, as we watch over her left shoulder, she started it out to the left, and that's where it stayed. 1 goal, 2 for Laura McClelland. Another behind for Port Melbourne, 1-8. They trailed the Blues 4-4, 28. It's a 20-point ball game. 13 minutes gone in the third quarter.
Yasmin Dersma with the kick out now, chasing up her work. Ex-Port player going to be turned over.
They
have numbers inside if they can go. Molly Eastman, present, front and centre, in the pocket. Pick up, kick is off. And that's going to be behind there by Molly Eastman. Had the opportunity, couldn't make the most of it with the Port Melbourne forwards.
A couple of chances squandered for the Borough. 1-3-9 they are now. Carlton 4-4, 28. 19-point margin. Dersma once again with the kick-in duties. It's okay. Robertson takes the mark. It's safe for now. DeMayo. Oh, McClelland again. Cutting across in front. Getting the spoil in. Making sure DeMayo didn't take what would have been a certain mark for the Blues, and it's out of bounds at half forward for Port.
She has been great today, Laura McKellen.
Even little acts like that just to keep the ball in the area. Bella Clark in the ruck now against Hurley of Carlton. Mifsud tried to go off the ground, didn't get much on it. Hill fights for it underneath the pack. Handball looking for Keck, who was bumped off it. Bromwich with her head over the football. Trying to get it to Wicksteed. Didn't get that far. Goss a hurried kick. Oh, Caruso out in front. Brilliant. Leading up to the football to cut it off for Port Melbourne. Reigning best and fairest winner. Again, they're happy to retreat, Port Melbourne, to try and find a way forward. It's back with McKellar. Or now with Wicksteed, he dropped the mark. We'll have McKellar for support. Ran into a roadblock. It's a turnover. Carlton coming forward. McCarthy's kick round the body. Went a little wider than she might have liked. McKellar's happy to see that one over the boundary line. Came off above her knee, said the boundary umpire, so a throw in on the broadcast wing with 15 minutes gone in the third quarter, and Carlton sitting pretty on a 19-point lead.
That was a tough spot to turn the football over there for Port Melbourne. They're very lucky to get this stoppage here as we meet again. Hurley doing work all day, doesn't need a break. Handball out, first hands to the mid, kick off there through the Carlton midfield. Going to be met with defence though. Is this one going to head back out? Hurley decides to keep it in. Tackle is good. Umpire doesn't blow his whistle though. And that's going to be a great tackle on the near side.
We mentioned a lot of Port's deficiencies today, but you've got to hand it to Carlton's pressure as well. You know, a lot of the mistakes that the Borough have made have either been under direct pressure from the Blues or perceived pressure. They've been really concerned when they've hunted the loose football, the Borough. Shearer can't quite escape. Did well to release the football. Woods out after it. And there's not many players in this league who escape the clutches of Courtney Bromwich, and will have another stoppage.
Yeah, well, we talked about it last week with Carlton and Collingwood. Carlton, one of the best tackling sides in the competition, and on display today.
Underway again in neutral territory. Seaton received the handball from Ashley Cooper. Kicks blindly down towards half forward. Robertson goes to battle with O'Keefe. Robertson did enough to see it out of bounds, and now O'Keefe is having a bit of a argument here with Di Donato.
A few words.
DiDonato wants to just flee the scene and get back into the 50 and set up defensively for the Blues as time ticks on by in this third quarter. Boundary umpire hoists it back in. Clark outsides in the ruck against Hurley. Comes out the back of the stoppage. Bromwich wins the football. I thought that was going to be penalised for a dangerous tackle. I was going to say she was thumped into the turf by Baldwin. Umpire agrees. Bromwich is going to bring Port Melbourne back into attack.
Bromwich now, of course, sells the candy outside 50. Can they find a forward here, Port Melbourne? Carlton
no!
Spoil each other. And they're very lucky to have this footy locked inside 50. Bromwich, great play with the step, but a little bit of a miscommunication there from Carlton defence. Had the opportunity to take the mark. And it looks like it's going to be met through again with the ends of Hurley. Port Melbourne didn't get the ruck. First tap down here. Carlton hands first to meet. They have the numbers out the back, but that's going to be a great tackle there by Jesse Williams, Tasmania native.
Yeah, it was a bad moment there for the Blues defenders who got their wires crossed. I didn't quite catch who it was that clattered into DiDonato. She had her name all over that ball. You just want to see a little bit more talk in those situations, as it look like we're going to be tied up again with Eastman not able to break free for the red and blue. Someone that I think they've really missed today, Port Melbourne, is Stella Reid, who's provided a really good forward half marking option through the first month of the season. Richmond listed player who they decided to take out of the team today as Carlton get the handball game running through half-back. Hill then with the kick out towards the broadcast wing. The bounce favoured Borg, who wheels around and turns on to the boots, kicks towards O'Keefe, but Wood too good in the one-on-one. Eliza Wood charged with the kick. Caruso was bumped by McCarthy before the ball arrived. That allowed her to mark unchallenged. Inboard to Shearer, who will see a teammate on the far side. Goes a little bit more direct with the kick towards half forward. Adams at the back brought it to ground, but that was where Tate found it. Dersma dinks a little kick out wide. Mooney will get out there in front of Booth of Port Melbourne, collects cleanly. Handball back to Tate, who was stripped in the tackle of Booth, and that is a red-hot holding the ball. And a free kick to Georgia Booth at half-back for the Borough.
Just an interesting thing that Port Melbourne have started doing in this half. They've started defending the space as opposed to playing more of a man-on-man style of play. It seems to have worked out for them so far, but something to keep an eye on going into this third quarter. As they look to move the ball out of defence now, kick off short to Beth Wilson. Doesn't quite get the grab though. Great pick up there is Jemima Woods. Kick up and down the chimney. Oh, big fly. Umpire's going to call the grab. That's a brave fly there from Caitlin O'Keefe, who's now just going to assess her options. Carlton have the numbers back. Big body work. Umpire says play on. Has the short kick taken inside by Belinda Woolcock. Can she create something now? Back to the forward after the body work. Darcy streaming, but the kick's going to go through for a behind. And that was an awesome effort there from the Port Melbourne forwards, but no avail.
They're just peppering at the moment, Port Melbourne. Kicking behinds. It's going to be a long way back into the match if that's all they're doing. Emily Harley probably should have centred that ball. She had a couple of teammates in the corridor. Dersma short from the kick into Vesio, who plays the broadcast side, off hands. Borg. Umpire didn't see the higher tackle from Mia Austin. But that'll be all she wrote for the third quarter, in which we didn't see too much goalmouth action. Carlton with the only goal in that quarter. Probably the goal of the day, just about from...
Here we go. Fourth quarter underway. Can Port Melbourne manufacture something magical? Wicksteed, first the footy over. Met now through Wilson. Decides to give the dummy. Kick is off. Bounce out the back here towards Caitlin O'Keefe. Can she get her head over the football? Stands strong, keeps her feet, decides to lay the tackle. Not sure if the Carlton defence had the football there. But either way, the umpire is going to call that in.
I just want to correct myself. Port Melbourne are staring down 2 losses in a row. I feel like I said wins a moment ago. They're staring down the barrel of 2 losses.
You're just so used to them winning.
Yeah, well, that's right. Handball came out to Lawson Tavern, who's been terrific in the back line today for the Blues. That kick bounces on its end and found its way to Borg after a little fumble. Doubled back inside. Her handball to Wicksteed. Now, they've got to find a mark here, Port Melbourne. Here comes McClelland. Brought it to ground. She come from a long way to get to the contest. Then went after the ground ball and was wrapped up. And we'll have a ball up at right half forward for the Borough. Non-negotiable. They've probably got to kick all of the goals in this last quarter.
They definitely do. Laura McClelland up there again. Wilson tapped down. Her and Carlton have been having a contest all day. Didn't quite get a foot to that, but the umpire says play on. At the back is Wicksteed, and she's going to be taken over the boundary line there. Charlie Wicksteed, Bunbury native. Brother was an awesome football player as well. I might have kicked a few snags on him. Shout out Dylan if you're watching.
Well, he couldn't have been too good if you kicked goals on him,
Oh,
Tyrone.
mate, maybe I was just...
Or were you a star as well?
Not as good as Charlie, that's for sure. Umpire now, toss it back in. Good meet by Wilson. First down, gets the hands on. Is Port Melbourne deciding to keep the feet, trying to get at the front of the contest. Coming back now is Port Melbourne through Ava Seaton. Kick is off. They have space. If they can hold a grab here, can't quite get it. Carlton defence. I think that's Ava Donato coming back, and they're going to come back outside the 50 again.
Robertson clears the defensive area. Difficult one to gather there for Mooney. Di Donato comes over to lend a hand. Kicks to the one-on-one on the city wing. It's Caruso. And it's Baldwin. Caruso doubles back and gets there first. Got it off to Clark, who's kicked into the middle. Couldn't find her teammates. Trying to charge through there was Seaton. And over the top went the Port Melbourne player in the tackle, and it was too high. And the offender there was Belinda Woolcock, I believe, Kelly Shearer, who's been patched up after coming off with the blood rule in that third quarter. We'll get it back from Hill. Port Melbourne closing. Oh, in goes O'Keefe with the crunching tackle, and that's gone high as well, said the umpire. It was right under his nose. And Meg Robertson with the free kick for the Blues, one of their draftees in the most recent draft that we had, pick number 31. It can be difficult to keep up with all the drafts we've had in the AFLW. We've had that many over the last 18 months. Wood. Handball to Parnell. Her kick was charged down. Parnell will have another go. Handball looking for Wood, who took it cleanly on the bounce. Broke through the paint of 50. Lined it up from 30. Oh, it's a clear free kick. Umpire says no. McCarthy bumped out of the marking contest. And then to rub salt into the wounds, Port Melbourne get a free kick. It's Bella Clark on the last line.
He had the perfect line of sight to call that free kick as well.
It's a bad miss, I'm sorry to say.
Oh, it's Port Melbourne now looking to come out of defence. I'm still in a little bit of disbelief there. I thought that bump might have been a bit in the back. But Wicksteed going to get met on the far side by Lily Goss.
Well, Sophia McCarthy, 180 centimetres and a strongly built player. She's not going to be that easily bumped out of the contest. So if she's going down like that, it's probably illegal contact.
And the umpire had the perfect line. He umpired great. He was in the perfect spot, and he said, you know what? Not today, love. You are not getting this call. As ball coming back now through Hurley and Wilson. They've had a hell of a contest today. First tap down to the Carlton midfield. Hill, head over the football. Absolutely dominating the disposal tally is Mimi Hill. Handball at the back towards Goss. Goss, right foot kick. Great positioning there. Umpire calls play on. Kick is off. It's going to go through for a behind. I'm not sure if the umpire did call play on, but the Carlton forward saw it that way. Yeah,
well, it didn't look like it was coming in, having been touched off the boot, but Mia must have anticipated the call. So behind for the Blues, the first score of the quarter. Stretches the margin to 19. Caruso runs right out of the goal square, kicks towards O'Keefe, who's outnumbered and outmarked by Robertson. Sloppy handball. Bowie reaching for it, can't get it. Port Melbourne might be let back in here. Bowie's second effort wasn't much better than the first, I have to say. Woods ran into trouble. Bowie's third effort was brilliant. Never gave up the ghost, and it's a free kick for holding the ball. And Hannah Bowie, who was very good in the first quarter, has gone a little quiet since then. Chips the little kick up towards the paint of 50. It's just eluded Mooney. Shiraz got something on that kick. Port Melbourne might be able to come away. Robertson kicks it as far as she can. Mifsud with the spoil over the top from Robertson. Mifsud, looking at the umpire, it's her free kick for over the shoulder. She didn't really expect that at all. And Mifsud with a free kick for Port Melbourne at half back. The final quarter has gone almost 5 minutes.
Here they go. The 45 kick inside from Geordie Misford. Ex-Box Hill, Besson Ferris didn't quite work out. Carlton now streaming forward. No one to kick forward to, though, so they elect to try and take that space. Switch kick is going to pay off here for the Port Melbourne defence. Dangerous, but it's going to pay off as they now come out the back line.
Oh, ran a long way.
Ran a long way. I was waiting for the umpire to blow his whistle, but lucky to get that one off.
Carlton win it back on the outer side, although DeMayo couldn't take it cleanly. Handball flicked forward by Ashley Cooper. Gee, the ball has just not wanted to play ball for Port Melbourne today. Bromwich got a horrible bounce. Handball too hot for Bowie. Toe poke forward by Williams. The lone player back there was Lawson Tapman. She had to play it well. She played it well enough. But her exiting kick is juggled and then marked by Ashley Cooper. 19 points the margin. 6 minutes gone in the final quarter. Ashley Cooper called to play on. Kicks into the 50. It's going to be late contact downfield. And the free kick will be taken by the sharpshooting Emily Harley. 30 metres out right in front. They've been pretty disciplined today, the Blues, but that was just a lapse in concentration.
Emily Harley, you back her in from here?
Yes, this is well within her range. I mentioned earlier that she'd kicked 6 goals, 1 coming into the match today. She has kicked a behind. That came in I think it was the second quarter. So Emily Harley, all looks at goal in this final quarter are huge for the Borough. The vice-captain trots in, sends it on its way. Goal umpire need not move. She kicked a huge goal on the boundary last week that for a moment looked like it might have been the igniter. It didn't turn out to be the case. That's a big goal here a week later in the final quarter to get the margin back to 13 points. And we've still got the best part of 13 minutes to play in this match. And I have to tell you, if one team can do it, Tyrone, I'm sorry, it is the Borough.
Well, that's it. I was actually going to say the exact same thing. If anyone can do it, it's the reigning premiers. And the beautiful thing about that Emily Harley goal is you look at the scoreboard now and you go, geez, 2 goals, that's just about doable, I reckon.
And one thing we know that they will do is they will throw caution to the wind here, Port Melbourne. I mentioned that late little burst against the Bombers in round 1, and they kicked 5 or 6 goals in about 10 minutes, so they are capable.
Hurley continuing to dominate the ruck. First down to Port Melbourne through Eloise Ashley Cooper. Continuing her good work in the first. Kick off towards McKellen. Was she held? Umpire says play on. As Geordie Misford with the handball out, but Carlton able to intercept, and they will exit now. Through their mids, that looks like it's going to be Eloise Wood on the far side. Play continues. Kick is not great. It's pinging around a little bit like a ping pong ball. And Port Melbourne look like they're going to be able to retreat, but the block doesn't get on. Port Melbourne have fallen over here, and Carlton can go forward now if they can find a target. Kick is deep. Goes over the top. Port Melbourne defence able to hold. Can they survive this onslaught from Carlton here on the rebound? And they finally get that ball out of bounds. I assumed that the ball was going to go out on the far side 50, but the block just didn't quite get there. And Port Melbourne quite unlucky there.
Well, the best thing they could do here, Carlton, is just get an immediate response in terms of a goal from the forward 50 stoppage here. Get a big sucker punch. Hurley knocked it to the feet of the contest where Hill found it. Gave it to Wood, to Tate, and back to Wood from deep in the pocket. Austin wrestles with Booth. The ball bounced into the behind post, and it's a good result for Carlton. A boundary throw in. Deep in the right forward pocket. 4-5-29 is Carlton. Port Melbourne 2-4-16, 13 points the margin. If Port Melbourne could come home and win this, it would be Grand Theft Auto of the highest order, because they have been second running today. As a free kick here in defence. It's going the way of the red and blue. It's going the way of Eloise Ashley Cooper, who's had a big final quarter. Her kick goes out wide. Borg takes the mark and she can play on after DeMayo overcommitted. Borg brings Port Melbourne towards the outer wing. Carlton player clobbered in the marking contest. Goss's handball was good. DeMayo's second handball was better than the first. Wood jags a left foot kick towards half forward. Caruso spilt the mark. Ostrom let in. Handball indiscriminate. Borg at half back for the Borough. Handball to Seaton, who wasn't expecting it. Hurley under pressure, had it jarred free. Knocked on cleverly by the Blues. Booth in the back line for Port Melbourne, lost out. Austin a jagged kick out towards the pocket. Tracking it well was Adams. Port Melbourne will start again from deep in their defensive 50.
Port Melbourne now, can they rebound? Decide to go to switch kick. Defence was lurking.
I would argue they don't really have time for this, Port Melbourne. It's got to be corridor or bust.
Maggie McKellar sending it back outside. Port Melbourne, can they go forward and make a game of this? Slowly migrating on that far side wing. Decide to go to the 45 inside. Hands in the back. Umpire says play on. Hurley, the big ruck, can't get down and get over the football. It's going to be a tight contest on the far side wing. Plenty of opportunity. Time not becoming so good for them. It's going down, isn't it?
It's not an enemy just yet. We've gone almost 11 minutes, so effectively half the quarter to play still. Seaton's having a horrid time trying to get it clear, and then she didn't, and Keck swooped on in for the Blues. Kicked it down towards the one-on-one contest where Borg did really well to try and take the mark. I think she held on. The umpire has paid a free kick for too high. So Borg, who's had a pretty prominent effect on this game across half-back. Again, they want to come backwards to try and go forwards, as they say. It's with Adams and then to Caruso, and she'll turn and see Georgia Booth out on the broadcast wing. Kick goes a bit more centrally than that. She's missed the target. Shevlin to tidy it up for Port Melbourne. Did well to keep it in front. Handball over the top and they're away. Here comes Ashley Cooper. Port Melbourne go from half back to half forward in the blink of an eye. Harley dropped the mark. Clark bumped off it well there by Keck. It spills to Harley. Handball came free. Shevlin ran to 40. Kicked down towards the goal square, but there's a one-on-one and the mark taken by Charlie Ryan, who we have barely seen today. She has gone completely missing in her first game of the season, but she's going to kick the goal from the goal square, and Port Melbourne will be back within 7 points.
You're allowed to go missing if you come up in the big moments, Charlie Ryan.
It might not be your game, but it might be your moment. Charlie Ryan, one of half a dozen Richmond AFLW listed players, kicks the goal, and it's game on again at IKON Park. The Premier's closed to within 7 points of the Blues.
Amazing stuff there, Charlie Ryan. As I said, you're allowed to come up during the big moments. I almost had a dig because they were doing the switch kicking, but the midfield wasn't quite working across the ground like you'd like them to. But they ended up being in the perfect position for that attack through the centre. So Port Melbourne finally starting to see some dividends from that centre attack.
It was Charlie Ryan's 4th disposal. Only 2 players on the ground have touched the ball fewer times than her. But what a big impact.
She's got the goal now. That's all you need. As we're going to meet in the middle of IKON Park again on this beautiful Saturday afternoon. Hurley going to continue her work. No breaks at all. First tap goes down. Carlton first hands. Charlie Wicksteed amongst it again. Going to lay a big tackle here. And dump the Port Melbourne mid down, sorry.
Emily Hurley's had 24 hitouts for the Blues. Prince has had 2 and McCarthy has had 1. So it really has not been a job share at all in the ruck for the Blues today.
Hasn't been an issue, though.
No.
She has dominated that ruck contest. Going to meet in the middle again. Who's going to get the next clearance? Who's going to throw the next punch in this tight contest? Carlton, first hands down. Going the wrong way, though.
Oh.
Finally realises teammates tell her, swings back. It could pay off for the Carlton forwards. Port Melbourne met at the front. Coming here on the near broadcast side. Players down behind the contest. Kick off. Couldn't quite hold the grab. We're going to play in front. Right foot can. Port Melbourne finally make an opportunity. Charlie Ryan getting herself involved in this game and deciding to slow the play, entering forward 50.
Port Melbourne really lifting now. Eastman into the 50. A terrific mark taken in front of the closing pack by O'Keefe, who will see an unguarded goal square. Players flood back towards the goal mouth. Caitlin O'Keefe just takes her moment to rub her hands on her shorts, wait for a lead to come up at her, and it's Charlie Ryan who comes up at her and takes the mark, 35 from goal. And what were we saying? It doesn't have to be your day, but if you can come up in the big moments for your team, they'll love you forever.
Shout out Caitlin O'Keefe there, just recognising the space, kicked the ball before the lead came and allowed her forward to lead into it.
So Charlie Ryan will come up for disposal number 5. They come into the team today for her first VFLW game of the season. 2 seasons on the Richmond list, been wiped out by ACL injuries. To get the Borough back within 1 point. The kick has dropped short, can you believe? Carlton don't rush it. Back to the top of the goal square. It's a mad scramble. Seaton in there. Bromwich as well applies the tackle. Doesn't want to see the ball come free. A ball up 25 metres out from the Borough goal.
That one hurts because even one behind would make this a
It would have helped,
game.
Yep.
As the ball's going to come up now on the club side. Tap down. Who's going to get their hands on it first? Umpire's going to call it back again. Hurley going to meet in the ruck for not her first time, that's for sure. Hands come down. Carlton get hands on. Kick is off straight into the hands of Wilson, who might have been hit high.
Oh,
Beth Wilson. Sorry, that's not Wilson. That's Laura McKelland. Once again, being a bright spot for this Port Melbourne side, getting herself over the football and being rewarded from it. Now an opportunity to make this a 1-point game in the 15th minute of the 4th quarter.
1 goal, 2 she's kicked, Laura McClellan. I think she got a little bit lucky there. It was her fumble that actually meant that she was going down to pick it up. That's where she got the high contact.
McKellen now strolls in. Left foot kick is off. Lean back. Goal umpire not moving much. Is it touched on the line?
Oh!
No, it is not. Laura McKellen making this a 1-point game. Here at IKON Park, we are witnessing a thriller as one more possession stands between Port Melbourne and a comeback.
So McClellan with her second goal. 16 and a half minutes gone in the final quarter. The biggest margin was 21 points that Port Melbourne faced. The margin at the final break was 18. This is as close as they have been for a long, long while. 4-5-29 Carlton. Port Melbourne 4-4-28. And there's still a bit of time. This time will tick away quickly because we don't have time off, but 3 minutes, well, that's enough surely you would think for at least to get a score as far as Port Melbourne are concerned, to earn a couple of premiership points. But Carlton come out of the middle. Keck got him into the 50. Oh, what a mark. Mia Austin has been sensational up forward today. And she can go back from 35, 40 metres out, right in front, and probably nail it shut if she can kick truly.
Awesome work there by Austin. And an interesting note with Carlton, their wingers were set up so far in defence. They were almost expecting that to come out.
One behind to her name this afternoon. 20th birthday coming up on Monday. She got an early present here for the Blues. It's gone a long, long way left. And it just snuck in for a minor score. Doesn't really help either team. The margin goes to 2 points. Into the final 2 minutes of the match we go. Carlton cling desperately to a 2-point lead.
Kick is out through Lauren Caruso. Port Melbourne now looking for the rebound. 45 kick drops short. Can they meet over it? Carlton keep their feet though. Ball stays still as bodies fly over the top. We have 2 minutes left in this contest. 2 minutes and 2 points stand between Port Melbourne and a comeback. As the ball's going to go up on the far side wing. Hurley, tap down. Port Melbourne over the footy. Great hands. Another handball off now to Belinda Woodcock. Who just loses her possession there. Picked up now through Carlton. Can they manufacture something here? Far side wing. They have numbers around this contest if they can get around it. But Port Melbourne first hands. Hurley lays the big tackle. Ball spills out the back. As the play continues to ping-pong around, kick off, come and say it in, and it looks like it's going to be held in the firm hands of Hannah Bowie.
Bowie takes a really important intercept mark for the Blues. And wisely, she takes all of her allotted time. Kicks into the 50. Where's Mia Austin? Vesio threatens. What a mark! Going up above the pack. It's a free kick, though. Woods has held on to a beauty, but the umpire saw a free kick for too high. And Port Melbourne, just as they thought they were going to be able to spring forward, now have to set up behind the football as a free kick has been pulled out in the middle of the pack. And the biggest kick of the match will rest on the right boot of Mimi Hill.
Where's the flair for the narrative?
Well, you wouldn't think that Port Melbourne can win it now. We're into the final almost 30 seconds of the match. Mimi will take her 30. Doesn't really matter if she doesn't have the distance. The most important thing here is taking time off the clock. Mimi Hill gets right under the kick. It's a spiral to the goal square. Vesio couldn't mark. Oh, they're going to get a free kick. And Vesio will have the final kick and Carlton are going to win. All a little anticlimactic in the end. Jemima Woods had taken probably the mark of the day that is consigned to history now. The siren will sound. Vesio, you would think, would kick the goal. And on her VFLW return, Darcy Vesio to the legend stand end of the ground. Isn't that fitting? The Carlton legend kicks the goal. And the Blues cause a big upset at IKON Park. Boy, they left it late. Vesio kicks the goal and Carlton win by 8 points.
No better person than to kick that final goal than Darcy Vesio. And if you're Port Melbourne, where do you go from here?
Well, I tell you what, we saw the best of Port Melbourne. We saw probably close to the worst of Port Melbourne today. Well and truly outplayed, really, for most of the game. They played in spits and spurts.